The Niners recently decided to cancel the rest of their OTAs. This is something Kyle Shanahan and the Niners have been doing for years now. It's become a ritual to cancel the last week of OTAs and then just move up mandatory minicamp. So this upcoming week, the Niners are going to have mandatory minicamp rather than OTAs. After this, the players will go ahead and break and work on whatever they plan to work on this offseason or just vacation. For instance, Trey Lance is going to be working with his throwing coach, Jeff Christensen, during this period after mandatory minicamps. Furthermore, Brock Purdy said he is going to go down to Jacksonville, Florida to work out with Will Helwit, which is who Brock Purdy worked with prior to his injury. And while Brock Purdy was able to add 5 miles per hour last time working with Will Helwit, getting his ball up to 55, 56 miles per hour, this time Will Helwit has a totally different situation on his hands. Brock Purdy will have to really start from the ground up and make sure none of his throwing mechanics decline when he's working back from this injury. As you guys know, Brock Purdy's already been throwing a real football, and he's just had to take off days in between to ensure he doesn't injure himself and really set back his progress. This is just an update to let all of you guys know that OTAs have been canceled for this upcoming week, but they have been replaced with mandatory minicamp. So this may be the first opportunity for the Niners to see Javon Hargrave and Nick Bosa this offseason. And while they may not participate, it'll be interesting to see how Nick Bosa has developed further and what Javon Hargrave looks like. Like I've mentioned before, I just want to point out it's a little bit interesting how the Niners decide when they're doing OTAs versus not. And I think a big portion of this is because the Niners in the past had a major injury bug that really wiped out their whole season. So I believe Kyle Shanahan's philosophy here on out is to really take it as light as possible during the offseason and not get players hurt outside of games. But also what I think this does is allows the 49ers not to start as hot as other teams and lose some games early on in the season they should have won. This in return makes it much harder later in the season, especially the playoffs, where you most likely will lose out on the home playoff field if you lost games earlier in the season that you should have won. This is what happened during the NFC Championship game, and while the results may not have been that much different, having a home field advantage is essential. So here's my question for you guys today. Do you think that if the Niners held the OTAs and then mandatory minicamp the way it was originally scheduled, if that would be beneficial for the Niners starting out hotter? And do you think this is actually preventing that much injuries, or do you think that the Niners would be better served by utilizing this time to focus on their goal of winning a Super Bowl? I'd love to hear down below in the comment section. Personally, I see both sides of the argument, so it's hard for me to pick out one side, but I would probably focus on practice just because the Niners have in recent years started out kind of slow. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you guys liked and subscribed. Thank you guys so much for watching. It truly means a ton.